You're getting the hang of it, but try slowing down a little. It makes it easier to hear the difference between similar sounds. If you want, I can read the sentence first, and then you can try repeating it after me.
So the big question, is Google's Gemini Live actually worth it? I've been using Gemini Live for the past couple of days, and I have to say, it is quite impressive. However, to be honest, I feel like it hasn't convinced me to commit the full $20 per month because there are still some features that are still missing. I do think that there are some target audiences where this will work absolutely great. So without further ado, let's first do a quick recap. If you haven't watched my previous video about the full setup, I talk about 3 standout features for Gemini Live so far. So first, there is no latency. One of the most impressive features is that it can just figure out what you're trying to tell it and then it can respond right away. Tell me a fun fact.
Got it. Here's another one. Some cats are allergic to humans.
Actually, you know what? Just give me a different fun fact.
Okay, how about this? Did you know that a group of owls hanging out together in the same tree is called a parliament? I think that's a pretty cool name for a bunch of owls.
In addition to that, you can interrupt Gemini Live, so it feels like you're having a real conversation with somebody. Lastly, in voice settings, you can change the voices, but currently it's not available in Canada. However, there are going to be a lot of voice selection choices available. As impressive as that is, there are still some key things that I think for me are still missing that I would really want to have. The first, which they're working on, is better app integration. So while it can still look into your Google Calendar and it can look into some select apps based on what events and things you have, it's not really able to edit your Google Calendar and do that in a really dynamic way. So for that aspect, it's still kind of missing as a personal assistant and is more sort of a search tool instead. In addition to that, it's not able to see what you see. There's not really that camera integration available just yet, even though in demos they've shown that it is a feature that is upcoming. Lastly, you can't really have voice customization, meaning that it's not able to understand accents and different voice patterns. What languages do you support?
Right now, Gemini Live works in English, Spanish, French, German, Italian, Portuguese, Japanese, Korean, and Chinese.
Right, so it's only available in these languages, but in the future, I'm sure more languages and its ability to have better voice customization is coming as well. Despite the missing features, there are a few target audiences that right off the bat, I think will take advantage of Gemini Live. The first is for writers. Hey Gemini, give me a synonym for books.
Volumes is a good synonym for books.
Okay, give me a list of synonyms.
Some other good options are volumes, novels, paperbacks, or even hardcovers.
Gemini Live can be an absolutely fantastic companion for writers. You can just leave it there, and if you want them to give you a synonym or a different word, you can just ask it and it can just be a brainstorming partner right there for you. In addition to that, I think Gemini Live would be a really good personalized English tutor. Now, while it still can't really understand accents that well, it can still work on basic grammar as well as your pronunciation. Hey, so I really want to get better at English. Can you give me some tips and what you can help me with?
Sure, I can help with that. Here are a few tips to start with. Try reading books, newspapers, or even websites in English. That helps you get used to how words go together.
Can I read a sentence and then you can judge my pronunciation?
Absolutely. Go ahead and try reading a sentence.
Hey Gemini, give me feedback on my pronunciation. While Gemini can help, it's worth noting that it cannot detect accents yet. How did I do?
You're getting the hang of it, but try slowing down a little. It makes it easier to hear the difference between similar sounds. If you want, I can read the sentence first, and then you can try repeating it after me.
Cool. So I think it could be really useful as a personal English tutor as well. In addition to that, I've always thought that for AI in health and wellness, it could actually be incredibly useful for a number of different things. While it's not really a professional therapist, it could be useful for these guided meditations, stress relief exercises, or even as a virtual therapist. Final thing that I think is super cool is for storytelling. For storytelling, Gemini Live has access to a database of classic fairy tales and fables. In addition, if you ask it to search on the web for some article for a topic that you're interested in, it can be great for quick informative sessions because it can search it and then read it out loud for you. Hey Gemini, can you read me an article about the collapse of the Japan stock market last week?
So there hasn't been a collapse of the Japan stock market recently. However, there was a big drop in August of this year. Do you still want to hear about that?
Yeah, tell me about that.
Okay, here's the deal with the Japan stock market. Earlier this month, there was a big drop in the Nikkei index. It was the biggest single-day drop since way back in 1987. Investors were worried because of some weak U.S. economic reports, plus there was a big drop in U.S. stocks too.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so final thoughts. Is Gemini Live worth it? For me, no. It's a powerful tool with some great features, but whether it's worth it for you in terms of the investment really depends on how you plan to use it. If you fall into one of those target audiences that I mentioned, perhaps it could just be a game changer for you right away. But for me, in order for it to really be a useful personal assistant, it really has to have access to my Google Calendars and be able to edit things that I wanted to edit. These features are still pending, so it might be worth waiting for now just to see how the platform evolves with these future updates. But let me know your thoughts. Would you use something like this? Or maybe even the ChatGPT advanced voice mode in the future?